All right, looks like you're good to go.
Great. Well, yeah, as Josh said, my name is Michael Garner, and I am a Green Iowa AmeriCorps Land and Water Steward member serving at Linn County's Sustainability Department.
And my name is Alyssa Guritz, and I am a Green Iowa member at the Center for Energy and Environmental Education at the University of Northern Iowa. So our presentation today is about converting climate thoughts to climate action. We'll be talking about some important climate action definitions, the process of conducting a greenhouse gas inventory, sustainability efforts around Iowa, and what you can do in your own community. So to start us off, I'll go over some basic definitions that will be helpful for the presentation. Greenhouse gas inventory identifies major sources of greenhouse gas emissions and measures how much they pollute. They're used to find out how much a municipality is currently producing, which helps them determine how to reduce their emissions. A resolution is a document passed by a governmental party to express support or approval of a certain issue. It is not a legally binding document. A climate resolution outlines the ways in which the climate has and will impact a community and what the government and community plan to do in order to address climate and environmental concerns. Many climate resolutions will include the creation of a climate action plan as a key resolution point. A climate action plan is a more detailed document than a resolution, and it includes details about how the city will work to achieve goals outlined in a resolution, as well as other important climate and environmental issues. A city can do all three of these things, or they might do just one, and they might do them in varying orders as well.
So now that we've gone over those definitions, I'll be talking about the actual process of conducting a greenhouse gas inventory. And so the first step in the process of an inventory is to scope and plan the inventory. And so this entails determining organizational and operation boundaries to assess emission levels of a designated area and choose a baseline year to assess emissions. Next, you will begin data collection of the data needs you need to obtain to complete the inventory from local utilities and other data sources such as electricity generation and stationary fuel combustion. Once the data is received, organizations typically utilize data processing software such as ICLEI's ClearPath, which is used by more than 2,500 local and regional governments across the world. After receiving and compiling the data needed in order to complete an inventory, the next step would be to generate an inventory report. Completing a report will help in having all the data associated with inventory in one document and made accessible online and through public engagement events. And lastly, once the inventory is complete, data can be utilized to forecast greenhouse gas emission reduction targets to help reduce emissions from the inventory to compare with future inventories. Now we'll be looking at local sustainability efforts, starting with Cedar Rapids. So Cedar Rapids has completed 2 greenhouse gas inventories for the baseline year of 2010 and also 2019. Having completed 2 inventories, Cedar Rapids can use the data collected to assess progress towards set emission reduction targets and work towards reducing emissions from community and city operations. Upon completion of the inventory, Cedar Rapids created a climate resolution in February 2020, declaring an urgency to take climate action through the creation of a climate action plan while supporting vulnerable residents. And following the resolution, Cedar Rapids finalized and created its community climate action plan. And Cedar Rapids completed this plan through 3 phases, being education and community input, plan and engagement, and plan finalized and action continues. During these 3 phases, Cedar Rapids implemented community outreach efforts, created a climate advisory committee, and held an open house event announcing their community climate action plan. And similarly to Cedar Rapids, Lynn County has also started to implement sustainability efforts on a county level. So in 2019, Lynn County created a climate resolution declaring a climate crisis, committing to accelerated efforts. And after this first resolution, the Lynn County Sustainability Department was created in 2020 and created an updated 2020 resolution prioritizing vulnerable communities and future climate mitigation and adaptation projects. After the creation of these 2 resolutions, Lynn County completed its first baseline greenhouse gas inventory in August of 2021 for the baseline year of 2010. And the main contributors, as you can see on this graph, are natural gas consumption, stationary fuel combustion, and grid electricity. The inventory data, in turn with input from community outreach efforts through a climate action survey and focus group, will inform a climate action plan. And this climate action plan will help to address local emission sources and actions to reduce those emissions. Additionally, Lynn County also plans to continue to track energy use and emission indicators on an ongoing basis with yearly greenhouse gas inventories, and Lynn County's newly established Sustainability and Resiliency Advisory Committee will be assisting with these new inventories.
So Cedar Rapids and Lynn County are not the only places in Iowa that are working on climate action. In January 2020, City Council members in Waterloo voted unanimously to pass a climate resolution, which includes a commitment to establish a committee to develop a climate action plan. Cedar Falls is also working on a sustainability plan that they started in January of 2020. And this is pretty similar to a climate action plan. Ames, Iowa City, Dubuque, Des Moines, Polk County, and Story County are some other places in Iowa that have already or are currently working on greenhouse gas inventories, resolutions, and climate action plans. So what kind of things are actually included in climate resolutions and action plans? Resolutions usually contain broad goals for emission reductions, climate preparedness, and overall sustainability. And climate action plans outline specific goals, strategies, and actions. So the images on this slide are taken directly from the Cedar Rapids Community Climate Action Plan. And like Michael said, that was completed in September of 2021. So their action plan in particular includes information about climate hazards, emission reduction goals, and community vulnerabilities in the introduction section. And they have 2 key goal areas, which are carbon-free and resilient and accessible. Each goal area has objectives, a 2030 vision, and actions. So an example of a carbon-free objective is to increase renewables to 70 to 100% of electricity generation. And an action to reach that objective is to support large-scale solar installations in underutilized areas. And an objective in the resilient and accessible goal area is to build resilience to flooding and implementation, and climate hazards. One action to help work towards this objective is to support the implementation of the Stormwater Master Plan. And this screenshot shows the action to support large-scale solar. And you can see from this image that each section includes details about the impact, timeline, resources, and funding opportunities, key stakeholders, and department leads and support. So what can you actually do as a community member? Civic engagement is always an important aspect of motivating any municipality to address and take action on sustainability and climate change. So this can include just being aware of what is going on in your community, attending and participating in city council meetings, voting, and letting your city council and legislators know what issues are important to you. If you live in an area that doesn't currently have climate action going on, you might also wonder how you could start this process. So for me personally, after I graduated college, I moved back to my hometown in Indiana, where I volunteered with a group that was working on climate efforts. Indiana University there has a program where communities can apply to receive funding and interns to conduct a greenhouse gas inventory and work on an action plan. So individuals in my community wanted surrounding towns and counties to participate in the cohort. So we actually worked together as a group to motivate our council members and mayors by holding meetings with city officials and giving presentations. And we received letters of support and resolutions from various communities. And in the end, we were able to get 11 cities and 3 counties to apply and participate in the regional inventory. So that shows that there's a lot of work that can be done if you have a passionate group that can talk to your council and motivate them to take this kind of action. And the Center for Energy and Environmental Education at UNI has a similar program to the one where I'm from. And it is called the Community Energy and Climate Action Planning Program. The CEEE is a member of ICLEI, which, like Michael mentioned, provides the software and other resources to conduct the inventory. And Cassie Zona at the CEEE leads this work and also convenes the Resilient Iowa Communities Program.
And so, yeah, thank you. We hope the presentation gave an overview of the importance of climate action and how that can be implemented into local and regional communities or government. And climate change is one of the biggest issues of our time today, and it is important that we start addressing them. And yeah, thanks again for listening, and we can take any questions if there are any at this time.